Hello students. Yesterday we have learned about reversible and irreversible processes and limitation of first law of thermodynamics and second law of thermodynamics, which prohibited the laws which are uh, allowed by the first law of thermodynamics. So all that things we have studied yesterday, and also in the both law it is predicted that means simple, according to first law of thermodynamics we can easily understand it. If we supply heat to any system, then that system can do some mechanical work, and if the and there can be some internal energy, means some heat can be used to increase its internal energy. Means simple, if heat is supplied to any system, then there can be some mechanical work. So base and also with second law of thermodynamics, it also predict that simple heat can be transferred from hotter body to colder body, or simple heat can be used in the different forms of energy. Means we can perform some work by using that thermal energy or heat supply. So heat engine we have to first today let's see what is heat engine. So actually I don't have to study in 11th physics due to related topics a lot about heat engine only, because it is based on the law of first law of and second law of thermodynamics. That's why I want to discuss this chapter here, and its work first, not in very broad way, but at least it's a qualitative idea it's working. I want to discuss it. Then what is heat engine and how it works. So simple heat engine is a device which can extract heat from a hotter body and can perform some work by using that heat, and the rest of the heat it can transfer to any colder body or sink. So simple, as you know that second law of thermodynamics tells us that all the natural processes are reversible and in the irreversible, and in irreversible process it is impossible to perform the mechanical work. It is impossible to simple use 100% heat supplied to any system. Means its efficiency of any engine cannot be 100%. Means any engine cannot use all of the heat supplied to it and can perform the work for that, because some of the heat there may be loss of heat can occur due to non-conducting walls or friction and other due to means all other quantities there can be some loss of heat can occur. So definitely if some loss of heat can occur, then work means amount of work will be always less than the heat supplied to it. So that excess heat which can be lost due to friction and non-conducting walls, that can be transferred to colder body to keep cold the device or the engine. So I think the process of heat engine is simple, clear to you, because second law of thermodynamics tells us that no real heat engine or any device can perform in 100% way to the for any heat supply. Means it cannot convert 100% heat into the work. So that's due to that reason the heat engine is simple absorb heat from cold hotter body and perform some work, and the rest of heat which is lost in this process, that can be transferred to any colder body sink to keep the device cool. So what is the whole process? So in the process of heat engine, there are basically three parts of heat engine. First is hot body, through which any engine or machine can extract heat. Second is working system. So working substance can perform some work. And third is sink or colder body, means to which we can send or machine can send extra heat supply or heat loss during that process. So according to that, this simple diagram of heat engine can be made up in this way. So that this is hot body, or this is called source. So these are the construction of actually heat engine. So in heat engine basically there are three parts. This is hot body or source, this is working substance, and this is cold body or sink. temperature T2. Since this is hotter body, this is colder body, then definitely T1 will be greater than T2. It's, I think, very simply clear to you. So what is the process of heat engine? What is the working of heat engine? First, let's see that in heat engine, the working substance extract heat from hot body, and suppose that it extracts Q1 heat from it, then it perform some work W, and it transfer rest of the heat to the sink. So this process is repeated in the similar manner, means regularly a heat engine or any engine can be made up in such a way that that engine can extract thermal heat energy or heat from any source, and can perform some work and can transfer some heat supply to the sink. So in this way, what will be the work done? That will be Q1 minus Q2, simple. Because this heat will be always also equal to the, means that because that the part of this heat Q1 which is used in the by the working substance, that will be Q1 minus Q2, because Q2 heat is transferred to the sink. This is heat loss during the process, or the heat which cannot be converted into mechanical work. So that's why that will appear as a heat, and that can be transferred to any cold body to keep this device at the means to avoid the or to reduce the hotness of this body or warmness of the body. So I think the simple process of heat engine is simply clear to you. The process is very simple. Working substance extract heat Q1 from this hot body or source, perform some work, and after that rest of the heat it is transferred to sink. Because second law of thermodynamics tells us that it is impossible to transfer heat from colder body to hotter body without any external source. So definitely, if we are not using in this system, we are not using any external source. This is a source which is based on these two systems, means this is an internal source, not external source. So if external supply we are not using, then definitely heat cannot be transferred from colder to hotter body, means only this wave of process will be possible. Means only working substance can take heat from hot body and it can transfer heat to cold body, means there can be transfer of hot body to cold body, not to cold to hot body. So I think that is simple clear to you. Because of both two law of thermodynamics, it is possible to make such types of engine, that is called heat engine, and that is used to pull that is used in train or in many ways, as you know that heat engine are using. So that's why I think the simple concept of heat engine, construction and working of heat engine is clear to you. So this is the basic theory behind the working of heat engine. So what is the procedure, how heat engine work? Let's see that. So in the case of heat engine, there is a hot body. Suppose that this is a hot body, and suppose that this is source, clear, hot body or source at temperature T1. There is an insulating stand. This is called insulating stand. Third is working substance. This is working substance. And fourth is, in the similar manner we can say that the fourth is here, that is cold body or sink at temperature T2. So there are four basic instruments which we need for the heat engine, that is source, insulating stand, working substance and cold body. So what is the procedure behind this theory of heat engine? First, the work, and one more thing is that the walls here should be made non-conducting. Yes, we cannot make it perfectly non-conducting, and if we will able to make it perfectly non-conducting, then it will be ideal heat engine, that is known as Carnot heat engine. So you can understand the even I don't have to teach that, but by the hint you can understand it very easily, because I am talking about real engine. So ideal engine can be easily understood by these things. That is the process of also Carnot engine. Only the difference in real engine and Carnot engine is that in the case of Carnot engine, this piston, this is a piston. This piston can be used to compress or expand or simple compress a gas, and due to expansion and compression of gas, work can be done on the system. As you know that if there is adiabatic or isothermal compression or expansion is occur, then some work by the system or on the system can be obtained. So using that two processes, we can easily obtain the work in the process. So first is that simple clear, this piston, if this piston is totally frictionless, perfectly frictionless, and these walls are totally non-conducting, and this is perfectly conducting, this bottom is perfectly conducting of then, and these walls are, this is perfectly frictionless, these walls are perfectly non-conducting, then all these conditions will be the condition of simple Carnot engine or ideal heat engine. Because in this way, if there is some temperature T1 or some amount of heat here, that cannot be lost from here, so we can convert whole of the heat energy into work. So I think that process is clear, but I am taking here the process of real heat engine, in which it is impossible to make the perfectly non-conducting walls or simple perfectly frictionless piston. So I think that is clear to you. Then what is the concept of it? So first, the working substance can be put on this source, and means we are taking now heat from the source, and when we put working substance on this source, then the working substance can extract a heat Q1. Suppose that during this process we can explain this process by this is going from P to Q, and during going from P to Q, let its temperature is T1, because here the temperature of this and this will be that will be both in thermal equilibrium, so that's why temperature will be constant and only heat will be supplied during the continuous means during the constant temperature. So in this condition, if heat is supplied to this system and gas is infilled in this container, then obviously there will be expansion in gas takes place. So this process, since the temperature is constant, then this can be understandable by isothermal expansion. So the first condition in this system is we have to put working substance on this source, and during this process there will be some extraction of heat will takes place. As you know that in the case of isothermal process, heat can be transferred from one system to another system until its temperature becomes constant. So in first condition, if we put it on this any hot body, then definitely they will try to be in thermal equilibrium, and due to thermal equilibrium condition, if the temperature is constant, then definitely some heat can be transferred to second this working substance, and this heat now, if it attains some heat, then it can perform some work here, and obviously this process will be isothermal, and in this process, since heat is given to the system, that's why there will be expansion in the system. Clear? So first process is isothermal expansion. Now we perform some work, and now we have to put this on this insulating stand. So insulating stand actually helps us to remove heat from the body. So in the second process in this, suppose that this is going from P Q to R. So in this process, if we put it on this insulating stand, then definitely some heat will be transferred to this insulating stand, and its temperature will go down. That means, or simple, actually this is insulating stand, and definitely heat will not be transferred from this body to this body, because simple I think that is there is no confusion in that, because insulator cannot absorb or means there cannot be transfer of heat occur in the insulator. So that's why if this is insulating body and we are keeping working substance on this, so there not be any change in heat takes place. There will be Q1 heat, but there will be change in temperature takes place. So that's why we can say that this process is adiabatic process. clear. As in adiabatic process, you know that there is no transfer of heat takes place, only change in temperature takes place, and both the conditions are fulfilling here. So this is the process of aid, and here the expansion of gas also occur. So this is the adiabatic expansion. So now again we have to put this working substance to means after working, after getting work from it, the wastage of heat, as I told you, that that can be transferred to this cold body. So now we have to put this on this cold body, that can be water or other things, anything which can absorb rest of the heat from working substance and can maintain its temperature. So now when we put it on cold body T2, then definitely its temperature will be constant, and obviously means during this process some amount of heat can be supplied to the this sink, and suppose that this is N. Okay, so going from R to N, Q2 heat will be supplied to the sink. So if heat is supplied to the sink from the working substance, means working substance is extracting heat to the system or releasing heat. So definitely this will be the case of compression, because if heat can be extract from the any gas, or then we can say that heat gas is going to be compressed. So in this process there will be compression first, and also since there is temperature is constant during this process, because we are keeping it on the any body which has some temperature, then definitely there will be some equilibrium condition, and since in equilibrium condition temperature must be constant, and due to that some amount of heat can be transferred to it to maintain its temperature at constant value. So that heat will be Q2. So this will be the process of isothermal process. So the means whenever we will put working substance on any hot or cold body for any temperature, there will be isothermal process, and in the process first if it will be put on a source, then there will be the case of expansion, and when we put it on the cold body or sink, there will be the case of compression. Now I think clear to you. Again after transferring heat to cold body, now we have to put it on insulating stand to maintain its property, or simple to bring it in its original condition. We have to bring this working substance at temperature T1. So to bring it at temperature T1 and no change in heat of the body, so there can be obviously adiabatic process again. So here the adiabatic process takes place when insulating, because in insulating stand, as you know that there cannot be transfer of heat takes place. So and temperature from T2 to T1 will be changed. So the process will be adiabatic, and also in this condition as the temperature is going to up, then there will be the case of compression. So this is the whole cycle, and this is known as indicator diagram for heat engine. So this is the working of heat engine, which I have explained you in a very clear manner, simple. I think that is simply clear to you what is the working of any heat engine. So simple, in any heat engine, this is PV diagram, which is known as indicator diagram. So with the help of indicator diagram, we can also understand the working way of heat engine. So first was that when we put working substance on source, then there will be the case of isothermal expansion. Q1 heat can be extracted from the source, and there will be the temperature T1. And again, while after taking it, we have to put it on insulating stand. So during that thing, there will be change in temperature takes place, and no transfer of heat will takes place. So that's why the process will be adiabatic, and there will be expansion of gas. Now again we have to put this working substance on the cold body or sink. So during that process, if we are putting it on cold body, then there will be not any change in temperature, but or simple you can say that to maintain its temperature at T2, obviously if you are putting it on any hotter or for any temperature, or for any body which have some heat, then definitely it will try to bring equilibrium condition, thermal equilibrium. So for that there will be transfer or simple extraction of heat will takes place. So some heat will be extracted from the working substance and can be transferred to the lower temperature or sink too. So here the case will be, if heat is extracted from the system, then their case will be the compression. And since heat is constant here, So we can say that this is the case of isothermal compression. Now again we have to put the working substance on insulating stand. So after putting it on insulating stand, definitely there will be no transfer will take place. The process will adiabatic, and during this process temperature will change from T2 to T1, means again it will return to its original condition, and during this process there will be compression in gas takes place. So during a complete cycle PQRN, PQRNP. So during this complete cycle, there will be extraction of heat, some work will obtain, or some transfer of heat will takes place. But after all, after one cycle, all the values will repeat itself, means this will be the cyclic process. So process of heat engine is cyclic, means all the values at final will be equal to the initial, and again means we can do the same process again and again. We can continually get the work done from the heat engine. So I think concept of heat engine, working of heat engine is totally clear to you. What is the concept of heat engine and what is the heat engine? So that is all clear to you. So if there is no confusion in heat engine, that can be also same process is applicable to simple ideal gas. Actually this is a type of ideal heat engine also, because isothermal expansion, adiabatic expansion we have studied for ideal gas, so we can understand it also in the case of Carnot engine. So this is the process of Carnot engine also. Simple, I have told you what is the difference in real engine and Carnot engine. In real engine there can be some friction, there can be some non-conducting wall, but in ideal engine or Carnot engine, the walls will be perfectly non-conducting, and also the piston will be perfectly simple frictionless, and also the bottoms will be for the conduction, it will be perfectly conductor. So I think all these things are now clear to you completely. So in thermodynamics, all the chapters regarding to this have already studied by you. Actually this year you haven't you don't have to study about the Carnot engine. So about heat engine, I've already told you, but what is the process of heat engine, what is the principle regarding to heat engine. Then first I've started that chapter with the zeroth law of thermodynamics, and that law of thermodynamics tells us about the definition of temperature or qualitative interpretation of temperature. So what is temperature is defined by zeroth law of thermodynamics. After that I've told you what is thermodynamic variable, like intensive extensive variables, what is point function, path functions in terms of variables, and also there was some small definitions for processes, like what is cyclic process, what is non-cyclic process, what is simple quasi-static process. And based on all these things we have studied what is adiabatic process and what is isothermal process. Means in the process in which where the temperature is constant, where the heat transfer doesn't takes place, and also where pressure is constant, where volume is constant, like isochoric isobaric process. And means simple how number of processes I have told you, and their properties, and how they take heat and do work for that. Will there be some work when we supply some heat to through any system, when they are going through that processes or not. So all that things have been cleared you by the help of first law of thermodynamics. So later I told you about the Mayer formula with the help of first law of thermodynamics, which relates the specific heats of two values, means specific heat at constant pressure and specific heat at constant volume. And also I've told you the specific heat at constant pressure and volume for the mixture of gases. Means if two or more gases are mixed up, then how can we calculate the mixture specific heat of the mixture. So I've told you the formula for that. And after that I just explained you what is the limitations for the first law of thermodynamics, and how that limitations were or simple problems were removed, which were already which were not occurring, actually not observing in the practical way or in natural way, but first law of thermodynamics allowed that. So second law of thermodynamics prohibit all these things, and also that allows the first law of thermodynamics in the very good manner. Means simple second law of thermodynamics explains all the limitations. Means it limits, it prohibit the phenomena which are not occurring in nature, and it describes why they can't occur in nature. And also and there was some law regarding to that, like Calvin Planck's law and Clausius law, and second, that are called collectively second law of thermodynamics. Okay, so based on all these the law of thermodynamics, we have it was clear that a perfect engine, only a perfect engine can have 100% efficiency. Means only ideal engine, which is known as Carnot engine, that can convert all the heat supplied to it into the mechanical work. And but in the real way, as you know that the walls using for that can be perfectly that cannot be perfectly actually non-conducting, and also that cannot have the frictionless piston and other things. So that's why there must be some loss of energy takes place, and if loss of energy takes place, then whole amount of the heat cannot be converted into the mechanical work. So simple, in real machines we always get the efficiency less than 100%. Some of the heat will always disappear as a heat in that form. So means we can easily tell what means with the help of first and second law of thermodynamics, we can explain the mechanism of Carnot engine easily, or a simple real engine easily. And also with the help of second law of thermodynamics, it was easy to make the refrigerator and AC and other things. I think all these things. And also in the last topic I have told you about reversible and irreversible processes, which were using for the description of efficiency in engines and other things. Means or simple, we can understand the ideal engine and real engine in the form of reversible and irreversible process. So this is the overview of all the topics of thermodynamics. So now I think all the conceptual things are now clear to you. So let's see some numerical problem based on the thermodynamics. So the first numerical problem is related to the adiabatic equation. As I told you that the equation of isothermal and adiabatic. So if question is that a sample of gas with gamma atomicity is 1.5 is compressed adiabatically from a volume of 1600 cubic centimeter to 400 cubic centimeter. Means its volume is changing from this value to this value, means it is compressing. And if the initial pressure is this, then what will be the final pressure? As you know that in case of adiabatic there will be change in temperature also takes place, but here the pressure is given, and already you know that pressure and volume will also change. So initial pressure is given, we have to calculate final pressure. So this first question we can easily calculate by using the equation of adiabatic process. So as you know that the equation of adiabatic process is PV power gamma is equal to constant. So for two of the two values we can write that P1 V1 power gamma equal to P2 V2 power gamma, where P1 is the initial pressure, V1 is initial volume, and P2 is final pressure and V2 is final volume. So V1 is given and V2 is given, P1 is given. So we can easily calculate what will be the value of P2. So what will be the value of P2? That will be P1, that is 150 kilopascal into V1 is 1600, and here the value power gamma we can write it here 1.5, and upon V2 that is 400 power 1.5. So we have all the values, and after solving this we can easily calculate it, and we can get that value will be 1200 kilopascal. So this is the simple calculation based on equation of adiabatic process. So I think there is no confusion regarding to that. And second question is that how much work is done on the gas in the process. So as I've told you the concept of work done in adiabatic process. So if we have all the values of pressure, then we can easily calculate what will be the work done in this process. So as work done in adiabatic process is given by R upon 1 minus gamma T1 minus T2. Clear? So as you know that we can write in place of T1 minus T2 because we don't have any information about this, and there are no need of that also. So as you know that if we multiply R in this RT1 and RT2, then you know that with the help of ideal gas equation we can write PV equal to RT. Means in the place of RT1 we can write P1V1, in place of RT2 we can write P2V2. So now we have the value of P1, V1, V2, V2, and this we can solve it. So this will be the value here 1 minus 1.5, and after solving this means value of P1 that was 150 and this was 1600 minus the value of P2 just we have calculated, that is 1200, into what is the value of V2, that is simple given, that is 400, and also we can multiply 10 power 3 to convert it into Pascal because it is in kilopascal, and we can solve this equation again easily, and after solving this we will get the value for the work done in this process, and that will come minus 480 joule. So since the gas is compressing, means we are doing work on the gas, so that's why, or simple we are extracting heat from the gas, so here the W will be negative. In this process I have already told you the sign convention and the thermodynamic process, so I think there is no confusion regarding to that, and we can easily calculate if you know the formula of the system. Means in adiabatic or isothermal, in both the processes, if you know what is work done and what is the formula for them, then we can calculate as all of the values. So I think in this numerical there is no confusion. So let's see some other numericals regarding to this chapter. So I think all the things regarding to this chapter and numericals are now clear to you. You can solve the numericals by yourself, and later I will tell you some of the numericals, more numericals on this chapter in the next day. So let's end the class here, guys. Thank you.